In today's episode, I'll be giving my review and reaction for the 11th episode in Survivor Season 47, Flipping the Win Switch. So let's dive right into Flipping the Win Switch. Do something, man. People are questioning you. Shut up. Shut up. Okay, yep, do that. Sure, guys. Stupid and dumb. Just an idiot. Get your shit together, son. Fuck it. I loved it. Welcome to the dub cast. Starting this episode out, we have the fallout from the past tribal council where Gabe was voted out. Sue is still upset with Kyle. That is kind of the main focus of this beginning of the episode. Obviously, last episode we saw her just be absurdly upset with him for a couple minutes there, even flashing back to when we saw like Rome and Tiana in the shots. So that is something that is still happening at this point. She's also a little bit upset with Caroline due to Caroline flipping last episode and going against their alliance and not telling her about getting out Gabe. But she still feels good with Caroline overall. They do have that mother-daughter relationship that has been alluded to the entire seasons to this point. We also get to hear a little bit about Caroline's backstory. She has ADHD and she really challenged herself to get on the show. So, good for Caroline. Glad to hear that. I'm a fan of Caroline. She's on my fantasy team, and I'm hoping that either she or Rachel can pull this out. I mean, we'll talk about my favorites in a couple minutes, but I think those two are at least in the top 2 of 3 right now. I think this is going to come down to the wire. I'm really not sure who's going to win, but Caroline, I think this was a pretty strong episode for Caroline. But let's move on. So once the fallout is over a little bit, the dust has settled a bit. They are going to create an underdog alliance. So this is Teeny, Caroline, Sue, Andy, and Rachel, excluding Genevieve, Kyle, and not Sam. So here's the thing about this. We have Kyle, who's won either 3 or 4 immunity challenges, I believe, up to this point. Obviously, he's a very strong physical competitor. I've been talking about how that's just stupid to win that many challenges. I know he's not probably a person who believes in throwing a challenge, but I don't know. Obviously, he's a threat out there because he can just win his way to the end. And physicality-wise, like, is there anyone who's even won? I mean, I think the record's 5. Is there someone who's going to win more than that? I don't know. This is just it's a crazy situation, but I understand why he's a threat. Genevieve obviously had the Saul vote off 2 episodes ago. She was barely skating by last episode, almost went home due to Gabe because she's now this big social pariah. Which, yeah, she reminds me of like someone who's pushing their chips all in. Like Kenzie last season wanted to push her chips all in and get Tiffany out super fast. I don't understand what that is because you still have so many rounds of gameplay left. Like, I think the soul move was a brilliant move and it was a great job by her pulling it off, especially with all the chaos that ensued. But now everyone's starting to realize she was the one behind this, so she's going to be the target moving forward. So she's another big one of the targets they're going after. And then there's Sam. Now, my question, I saw Steven Fishback tweeted this on Twitter. What has Sam done to qualify as a big threat? I mean, I guess he has a locked jury vote on the jury with Sierra. It seems like his relationships have all tarnished. Him and Andy are done. Him and Teeny doesn't really seem like they talk a lot. So I'm wondering what Sam's really, they say physicality, but like he hasn't won a challenge. It doesn't seem to be this like challenge beast. And the Survivor challenges are not just like brute strength. Like there's a lot of extra stuff that goes into it. Balance, puzzles, just all different types of stuff. So I'm really not seeing where this Sam threat level is coming from. I have viewed him as a dangerous player. I thought he was on a winning trajectory in the first couple episodes, but I'm not understanding where all of a sudden this idea of Sam is a threat is coming from. Maybe it's just the editors missing out and not telling us what Sam has really done to this point. But you look at his merged gameplay. I mean, he lost the first vote, blindsided, lost Sierra. Soul vote, he doesn't know what's going on, almost spoils the whole plan, tries to flip it back on Sue. That doesn't work at all. And then the last round, I mean, he's just one of the people that gets Gabe out because they all voted Gabe out unanimously. But like, I don't know. I don't see Sam as a threat really. And I think Sam kind of speaking to me as maybe a losing finalist, and maybe as like the young kid who goes to the final and loses, like a Xander type. That's about it. Charlie, but he doesn't really have the game chops of Charlie to this point. So I don't know where the Sam threat level is coming from, but I guess that's something to watch moving forward. Maybe he gets sniped out before the end. I thought he was going to make it towards the end, but we'll see what happens with that. So Andy gets a lot of confessionals. Sorry, I'm like, mine's bobbled right now. Andy gets a lot of confessionals about how he's in this quote unquote crushing position. He has the best relationships with everybody. He's got that relationship we saw with Genevieve in the past. He has a relationship with Kyle. Him and Teeny are really close. Obviously, him and Rachel have been working very close in the last episode as well. And now he's with the girls, Sue and Caroline. So really, we all see it from Andy's perspective. We don't really see it from other people's perspective about Andy. So I'm curious what the other players' perspective about Andy at this point in the game is. But we're led to believe he's in this really good position right now, and I don't think he is going to go anywhere. People saying he's like Emily. I don't know. I think he's got a little more longevity than Emily. Obviously, I mean, Emily got sniped out by one vote in an idol round, but like, I don't know. I think Andy's long for this game. I don't know who's going to turn around and say, maybe it gets flipped on him in a couple episodes, like, holy shit, Andy's a threat, we got to get him out. But I don't know what Andy's storyline is either. But he seems to be in a very good position, so good for him. I like Andy at this point. Like, I really like everyone on this cast. Well, most people. But yeah, I don't know. Good job for Andy being in a crushing position. So we get this rare pull up of a boat. It's a journey. Only one person is going to be going on the journey, which I thought was a little bit suspect. Usually on the journeys, at least 2 to 3 people go. But they have to decide who's going to be the one who wants to go. They ask for volunteers. The 3 volunteers are Genevieve, Rachel, and Sam. Obviously, Sam and Genevieve feel like they're on the outside of that pack that's formed, and I think the underdog alliance has done a very bad job disguising themselves. If the other 3 are just like, that's the group, we gotta try and flip somebody, that's, I don't know, that's a pretty bad alliance. Well, maybe it's a good alliance if they're all strong with each other and they just don't break, but like if they know that that's not, I don't know. I feel like in the new era Survivor, you want to keep your alliances a little more low key than that, but who knows? Obviously, there's working relationships and everything as well. So Genevieve, Rachel, and Sam. Rachel only wants to go because she doesn't want Sam or Genevieve to get an advantage or anything because they're on the outs. So of course they have to draw a rock, and guess who gets to go? It's Rachel. So her challenge here is she has to slide rocks into the same row before weights drop them in the water. It's the advantage you can get is secretly block a vote, and this lasts till the final 6. Obviously, she gets it. It seems like a pretty low-key challenge of just moving the balls, making sure they're in the right spot. Seems like a fun game to play, and also the table falling off with the weights bringing it down is pretty funny. I thought that was an interesting way of doing this challenge. Also, just being on like a little float in the middle of the ocean. So Rachel now has an advantage to secretly block a vote until the final 6. So she has 2 rounds left to use that. So interested to see where that plays out. There's only 7 people left in the game. So she now has that and an idol. She's locked and loaded. We'll see what happens with Rachel. So once she gets back, she tells the 99% truth after coming back from the journey. Of course, Sam doesn't believe her instantly. She left out the part of getting the advantage. She did say everything else, though. She said she doesn't have a vote at Tribal Council tonight. But if they pull an Emily flippin' and just read the votes tonight, I think they can figure out that she did actually have a vote. At least the people who did not know, or the people that she did not let in on the fact that she has this advantage. I believe she told Caroline and Sue, Teeny and Andy. I think she told her whole alliance that she has the thing. So Genevieve and Sam may be able to figure out, hey, she has something because she had her vote tonight. But maybe they don't. Maybe it's, I don't know, Andy, I don't know. So Genevieve is grasping at straws here, and she wants either Andy or Sue out because they are locks to make it to the end. So this is a different perspective because from Andy's perspective, maybe Andy's like the Jake Owen character where he's like, everything is like, it seems like it's going his way, but I think that's a different comparison though. Maybe that's a bad comparison. Maybe it's like a Ben from last season. Like he thinks everything's going his way. He's in a good position. Well, Ben was not really that good of a player. I'm trying to think on the floor. Carolyn. I think Carolyn from season 44. She was seemingly in a good position. She's in the best position, not really looked as a threat. I think Andy could be the next Carolyn, get no votes at the final tribal council because people think he's just doing nothing. Because Genevieve clearly states to us here that she thinks that Sue and Andy are the least valuable, and that if they go to tribal, or if they go to the final tribal, they'll be the people that people think will be the GOAT of everything. So I thought that was really interesting perspective on, or her perspective on those two. Sue, I think so as well. I'm not really sure I'm agree with her. I don't really know what Sue has done to this point. She has that idol that seemingly everyone's forgotten about. Mostly the crowd, because the only person that knows is Caroline. But I'm not sure if she could use that to make a flashy play. That might be something she wants to do. But I'm not sure what this game plan is for Sue to potentially win. She could pull out the old card, but a lot of people thought Sue was going to win earlier, and now it's not looking so likely. But it's we'll see what happens. But I just thought that was interesting that Genevieve thought that those people would be like kind of ghosts at the end. She pitches this to Rachel, who immediately relays it back to Andy. So Andy's relationships pay off again, and now that Andy knows that Genevieve's coming after him, he's now trying to flip the vote from Kyle to Genevieve. Those are kind of the two big targets right now. So we're interested to see where that goes. Obviously, it doesn't, because Kyle gets voted out, but to the immunity challenge. It's the classic. You have to like slowly hold a rope back and take your steps back while building a tower, block by block, step back, step back, step back, slow. I can't tell if I feel like this challenge. I don't know if this challenge would be hard or not. Just trying to think of how you'd like place it, walk back slowly. Like I think Teeny had a really good strategy of when she was going back. She was going back super slow. Obviously, Rachel on her last letter goes very, very slow. I think the key here is just go slow and steady. So Rachel is the one who ends up pulling this out. Kyle almost beats her. He pulls up at the end with a little comeback story, but Rachel's already got her blocks in place. So, he's not able to pull off his 5th immunity challenge, and he's now vulnerable for tribal council. So we'll see what happens. Get back to camp. Early take from Teeny is to vote out Kyle. Most people are in agreement with her. He's this challenge threat. He doesn't really seem like he has a lot of strong relationships left. People think, he's a family guy. He's got the story as well. So it seems like a pretty obvious target for Kyle. But Andy and Rachel are going to attempt to flip it from Kyle to Genevieve because of what Andy knew earlier. And Rachel also thinks that Genevieve is a huge threat. I think it's interesting to note here that these two are in my top 3 to win, but neither of them got their way in this vote. So I think that's interesting, where I think Rachel's tried to get Genevieve out 2 weeks in a row and hasn't been able to do that. So I'm wondering, if Rachel is our winner, what's this storyline mean for her, that she's just bricking on getting Genevieve out? But, that's maybe it's just a dramatic buildup of trying to make it suspenseful because it's just an obvious Kyle vote, and they're like, we'll just say, we'll just pretend like the other target's Genevieve. Who knows? Tribal Council, I thought, was one of the more boring tribal councils of the season. Felt like that could have been fast forward a little bit. Went on a little too long with this community and just everything, all the usual jargon. Nothing really valuable that I even wrote down. Just felt like a pretty standard, boring tribal council. So Kyle goes in a weird vote. I believe Andy voted for Genevieve in case Kyle played a shot in he doesn't have a shot in the dark in case he found an idol. Kyle votes for Teeny, but everyone else votes for Kyle, making him the 4th member of the jury. And he has a very special moment when he leaves the game. He hugs everyone and then hugs Jeff. He's very respectful, gets a hero's music. I wasn't really a big fan of Kyle. I just thought he was kind of a boring character on the show. But this was a nice send-off for him. He's very respectful. So I did appreciate that from Kyle, him being very nice to everyone and hugging Jeff. Hugging Jeff's always a good one. If I was ever on Survivor, I'd like try and dap up Jeff or something. But it is what it is. I'm probably never going to be on. Pleased Survivor. But I don't know. I don't know if people were upset about this. My mom said that there was a Facebook reaction to this, so I'm not sure whether it was positive or negative, but I feel like the casuals would like Kyle, right? The casual people on Facebook. I think this is fine. At least he's respectful. He didn't go out like saying F you, F you. We've already seen enough anger and disgust from vote outs this season, so it's nice to get a little variable in there. Was Kyle a hero? I guess, family guy, had a good story, so good for him. So that'll wrap up episode 11. Kind of a run-of-the-mill episode. This might have been one of the weaker episodes of Survivor so far to this point. Just felt pretty straightforward on what was going to happen. Not a lot going on in this one, but Be it as it may, we have 3 episodes left before we crown our winner of Survivor 47. So who do I think is going to be the winner? We have 7 people left, but I have my top 3 to win. Number 1, I got Rachel. Rachel had a very strong episode this episode, even though her plan to go after Genevieve didn't work. She got an advantage, featured a lot, had a lot of confessionals. I don't know whether that was based on the journey she went on, but I think Rachel's in very strong position. She seems to be kind of the unanimous choice right now of people to win the game. I think she's played a lot better than Kenzie from last season, if I'm being honest. So I can see her winning trajectory. Not really sure who else is a big threat at this point. I think Genevieve's not going to make the end. I don't think Sam, who people think is a big threat to make it the end. So of that 5 people, we had people hyping up Rachel in the past couple episodes. Caroline was hyping her up. Genevieve was hyping her up. So I think Rachel is kind of that underlying threat that people are kind of sleeping on right now. I think she could pull off this win. Number 2, in that similar vein, I have Andy. Andy has just been very consistent in the episodes. The only thing I worry about him is we don't really see other players' perspectives of Andy, what he can do and who he is in the game. So I'm wondering if he's viewed as kind of a GOAT because that's what Genevieve mentioned, or if he's able to pull off a final tribal story and get his chance to win the game. I don't know who's coming after Andy, so I think he's a very strong contender, and his content has been very good throughout the episode. So Andy's my number 2. Number 3, I got Caroline. I was on the Caroline train early. I jumped off. All of her stuff is mostly about how her allies are people, her talking about other people talking about her. It's never like her, that's the game, but like all of her content is about other people and talking about other people. But now it's kind of different since Gabe is out. Maybe this is the start of her story. So I got her number 3. The rest of the people, I don't think any of them can really win the game. Teeny, maybe Teeny would be number 4, but like, I always forget to put her in the top 3, bro. I don't see it from Teeny. I don't think she's our winner. So that being said, top 3 out next. I have Genevieve. Obviously a very strong target. I'm not sure how she slipped through 2 votes in a row. She's got to get something cooking. It looks like she's making a fake idol next round. Wonder to see if that'll work out. Probably not, but might as well throw something at the wall. Fuck it, right? Another one that I think will be top 3 out next. Sam, seemingly a big threat for no reason, also has lost all of his relationships on the island. People might not want to take him to the end to free up a spot like Genevieve has been saying. So I wonder if Sam gets sniped out of the game just to free up a spot, and he doesn't really have allies, so it's an easy vote if things kind of go a certain way. Last one I have is Sue. Really I don't like to put the top 3 to win and top 3 out next in the same category. So Sue, I think, is more vulnerable in this point right now than Teeny, just because she's fucking around with her idol. People, I don't know, she could be viewed as a GOAT as well, like Andy. She doesn't really have the story. She kind of disappeared the last couple episodes. We don't really know what her alliances are outside of Caroline and that kind of underdog alliance that we don't know if that's legit or not. Well, it seems to be legit, but like, where's her place in that? I don't know. Next week we'll switch to top 2 to win and top 2 out next, with there'll only be 6 people in the game left after next week, so that'll be crazy. But another episode of Survivor in the books. Who's your guys' winner pick, and who do you think is going home next week? Lacking on the content a little bit, my bad. Was in New York. No excuses. We got movie reviews coming up. We got Molly's Game and 310 to Yuma movie reviews. We had an awesome NFL stream on Wednesday. Cam and Mikey joined me in person. We were able to take 2 callers, take comments from the chat. So that was a really great stream. Had an awesome time. Recommend checking that out for the NFL preview. Besides that, expect to see Survivor next week. More movie reviews and NFL every week streaming. So as always, appreciate you guys' support. We're now at 60 or over 60 subscribers. So stay tuned and subscribe, comment. We're on Spotify and YouTube. So as always, be easy.